Welcome back to My Hero, not My Hero, One Piece Anime Review, episode 175. Yeah, it's actually reached this far for this series, which, as far as I can tell, the next series probably reached this far is probably going to be Black Clover this week. So that one just surpassed 100 just a couple months ago. What Case Clove just surpassed 100 like last week. Yeah, but this series was actually the second one to surpass 100. But yeah, 175. Wow. Who knew I'd get this far for this anime review series to have this many episodes for this particular one? Because the thing is, the anime itself is longer than this actual anime review series. Yep, and yes, I know I've done those anime reviews, but I pretty much were doing something slightly different I did before. When I originally started this series, this was basically 2 years ago. Actually, it was 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago. That's how long I've watched this series now. 3 years. And I've never looked back at exactly how awesome this series is. This series was basically a recommendation that my friend Edgar recommended to me 3 years ago. And I've never looked back because the series has been so good. I own a few of the manga books. I have reviewed one of the light novels. Yes, one. And it was the first one that was released for the new stuff, basically focused on Ace, which is something they were trying to do for some time. I've reviewed pretty much all the movies, everything for the series. Well, except for the rest of light novels. Yeah, I've only reviewed one, but I will probably review the rest sometime later at some point. But it's great though to talk about this, especially since that in just a couple weeks, that the manga will be celebrating 1,000 chapters. I'll talk a little more about that a little bit later. But now let's talk about this brand new episode of the anime, which is from, with the exception of the cover story, from what I can tell, pretty much the entirety of chapter 954. Which, that's a shocker, to say the least. Oh yes, this episode is Will. Lance? Kaido gathers. Some additions here, very good additions. I like additions they made in this episode. Thing starts off with Zoro, Haruki, and Komatsu, where they talk about Tsuishu, the sword that Zoro's been carrying since Twiddler Bark. Yeah, they actually saw some stock footage from that arc. Well, not the same style of animation they had back then, but yeah, an actual brief flashback to where Zoro fought the original owner of the sword, Rainma. Yep. And this is the first time, now this arc is the first time since that arc he's actually mentioned him. Because he's carried around this sword for a long time. It is such a freaking long time he's carried on the sword. And he mentions, oh yeah, Mori was the one who stole it, not him. Which, that part is true, he did. But I'm like, when the heck did he take time to come to Wano, a country that's closed off, and in the New World, to not only steal this sword, but also Raima's body. Yeah, it took time basically to do that. So they explained the whole purpose of her sword, Enma, the sword of Kaido, that is actually because it turns out that Oda was a master of the two sword style, and she wants to give Zoro her father's sword, which is something true for the manga, which I do appreciate they kept this in. And Gojo's like, no, wait, because he doesn't really trust Zoro very much. Haruto does, he says, knock it out, this man saved my life. Yeah, he did, from a group of assassins. Yep, so he has rightfully earned the sword. And then later on we see Komatsu with Kinemon, it's basically set up what happens next week. Yep. And that's last see of Zoro for most of the episode. We cut briefly to Udon, where we see that Luffy is still training with Ryo. And then we have Kinemon contact a bunch of people. Now, I do appreciate, though, that the way the anime presents this stuff is actually a little bit longer to present in the manga. I show various different people. Like in the case of one, the guy with the fan hair, they actually gave his men a line, which made the scene slightly longer than it is presented in the manga. The manga is a quick panel. And of course, we also have this really good scene of Kinemon explaining the name behind all the ports. Of Wano, and they're going to the one they think they're going to the snake port, but no, they're going to the lizard port. Yes, which I do appreciate them showing off all the animals. That was a really nice touch for the anime to do, show that off, because in the manga, it's just brief explanations to show like the map and brief explanations of basically names of the ports, but actually extra creatures to name after. Kudos, great job, Studio Toei, basically for doing that. And after meeting with everybody, then of course we see finally in the anime, first time in several episodes, Sanji makes an appearance. We also see that Robin is still with Otama. Yeah, it was Otaku, where she's basically still unconscious from seeing the shock of her father dying. Brooke is there, and where's Usopp and Frankie? Usopp and Frankie are actually over at one of the ports, fixing up all the ships that basically need to be fixed up. And yeah, and of course then we have the end, very awesome cliffhanger, where we see that Kaido and Big Mom are drinking. Well, Kaido's drinking sake, while Big Mom is having red bean soup. And she must have gobbled down like 5 or 6 bowls of this damn thing. And yeah, and of course they get along with each other now, and the guy, everyone's there like, what? Just a few minutes ago, these two were killing each other, and now they're basically best friends. And they reveal the shocking thing that happened. I appreciate they kept this in the manga. Even the shock on Queen's face, that Kaido and Big Mom reveal that they form an alliance. Yep. And that's the episode. Great episode. Now I'll talk about the manga because, well, this chapter shows off a particular very good poster of, like, it's pretty much what it is. It's it's like celebrate 1,000 logs. It's, if you turn it a particular way, you see treasure coming out of this skeleton's mouth. I don't know if this was represent Brooke or not. Basically, on this cover, you see Chopper, Zoro, Robin, Usopp, and Frankie. Surprisingly, the rest of the Straw Hats, like Nami, Luffy, and Brooke, they're nowhere to be seen. Actually, Brooke is, you see briefly Brooke's arm when he's carrying this big sword. But no Luffy. I'm like, really? You saw him in 1,000 chapters, Oda, and no Luffy? Wow, that's shocker for you. And then we have something that I think the manga's built for some time, where Yamato, where she mentioned she first met Ace. And this is a flashback to where, yeah, where apparently when he arrived, he basically first fought Yamato, and they actually fight, and apparently he knocks out a lot of the guards. It's a very similar scene we see in present day, where they fight each other for at least several pages. Destroys a statue of the dragon statue. They mentioned this actually last chapter. Yeah. Of course, he mentions them all. Yeah. Kaido's my father. What? Don't forget to mention. Don't worry, I hate him. That makes even less sense. Like, I believe I understand the story now. I appreciate your help. But why would you tell us about that man? Ace died 2 years ago. Oh, I didn't know. Believe in Ace. And then we see this wonderful scene of Otama and Nami just chatting about Ace, which I thought was really nice and sweet, the fact they threw this in. And then Queen is like basically trying to get like we see Marco try to chip in the fight. And they refer to Brooke as Bone Man. Yep. So, and then we see falling. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention this for the anime. Like, Scratchman Arco, he appears in the episode, and this whole sequence is completely extended from the way it's in the manga, because you see him like, wow, Scratchman, like, wow, this episode is actually in the anime his first appearance in this arc, though in the manga this was the Japanese debut. As a matter of fact, he did make an appearance recently, but yeah, he's been absent the whole arc. And I've also got to mention this too, that in the case of Basil Hawkins, they actually do show, like, they show the scene between Law and Basil Hawkins. That scene is extended too. In the case of Scratchman, it's like, okay, we see him on his ship where he's like praising, he asks permission to basically go in, ship goes in, and they show that apparently this is actually another entrance into Wano, this special cave which apparently had to get permission from not only from Kaido, but also from the Shogun to use it. So they go in there, the crew sets out, they go up, and we see these two little kids, and they see instantly what these strange creatures, which are referred to as the numbers. In the case of, well, Basil Hawkins, it's revealed because it's kind of hinted at here in later chapters. That kid basically found out about this when he beat up Scratchman, where Kaido shows up. We actually see what happened. Like, if you saw, I think it was in Dressrosa, I think it was, where you have Captain Kidd, Scratchman, and Basil Hawkins on the side of former lands, and you have Kaido come down, and you don't know what happened next. The anime actually bothers to explain what happens next. Where the Scratchman was basically Kaido's subordinate all along, and the fact that Basil Hawkins was actually offered right there on the spot to be his subordinate. And Basil said he accepted because he had no choice in the matter. Captain Kidd and Killer just basically plain out refused, and of course they get the crap beat out of them. And of course Captain Kidd was later seen in a cell, which he was in that cell for a long time. First he was apparently on the island of Usukumu, I think it's basically Kaido's zone, and they were seeing Udon. Like, when the heck they transfer him, I have no idea. Yeah, I forgot to mention that, but yeah, that's basically what happened in the episode. Excuse me. Yeah, and they actually, like, and of course, Queen throws in that apparently they're the War Strunkers. Yeah. But if you're curious, though, where these creatures come from, they actually don't explain that until a very recent chapter, where it's explained these creatures came from Punk Hazard. Like, wow, that's quite something. I think the reason why Oda threw that in, probably because Punk Hazard had just finished releasing its dub just recently, so he threw it. Okay, let's just basically mention Punk Hazard first time in quite a while. Yeah. Also, there was a brief flashback to Luffy's fight with Kaido in the arc, which episode kudos. And then we see various people falling from the sky, which I think he's from Whitebeard's crew, actually from the Animal Pirates. True. We see various people talking, and of course, talk about Whitebeard. Yeah, Whitebeard appears in this chapter. Though it's a flashback because Whitebeard's dead. So, and then we see in flashback Blackbeard before it became Blackbeard. About how he basically kept beating up the crew in order to kill. And we see Enzo, who actually is one of Odin's subordinates. And then we see Queen transforming into his Brontosaurus mode. King transforming into a pterodactyl. And of course you have Otama looking for Luffy. Like, of course she finds out Ace's brother. Like, they had to touch a real sore spot for him. Yeah, and then of course Momo finds out that Hilly's Ryder's son and Luffy's brother. Is that true? And the Yamato, it's like, you're the ones about Luffy the one, aren't you? Yes, indeed. Of all the pirates, numerous stars in the sky, you haven't been brought into this country. I consider that an act of fate. I thought Luffy's name has a D in the middle. And we see it looks like the outside. Or apparently it looks like that Kaido and Big Mom are just having a chat. Like, Shaman's not here yet. Hey Kaido, kill as many as you want, but leave Nika Robin alive. What, you can't... Why can't that three-eye of yours read any ancient writing? Oh, you mean Pudding? Who knows? I can't wait around for her true eye to awaken. Where can you put this island down? There's a castle on the floor. I kept a sand symbol of Kozen. And Kaido's like, woohoo! I'll make a nice capital. So your rope hunter cliff is there. Have more slaves. It's really showing your hand. Hey, don't something like that. I still think you're like a little brother. On the day rocks fell, you fell into God Valley. I gave you a legendary model of the fish fruit. You owe me for your life, Kaido. Whatever you say, we can talk after we get it. The One Piece, that is. Dum dum dum. Yeah, great chapter. I give it roughly a 10 out of 10. It is an absolute fantastic chapter, and I do highly recommend it. Yeah, It's an absolute great chapter. Get a lot of great interactions. I like the fact we focus on Ace's chapter. But, and this I knew about this, that, nope, there won't, the next chapter is 1000. You're probably thinking, is it going to come next week? Nope. Nope. They're going to wait 2 weeks for this next chapter because they had to take a break. I'm like, really? Okay, fine. Maybe they give Oda enough time to make a double-sized chapter. Because I did hear something that apparently that 1000 is going to take up a good chunk of the next release of the Weekly Shonen Jump magazine. That this it's going to be longer than normal chapters. So I'm hoping it's a really long chapter because this chapter series deserves it. Because 1000 is a big number. It's only probably the second series published by Weekly Shonen Jump that I can think of that actually has published 1000 chapters. So I think it may be like 101, but that's basically, I don't think it's published anymore. But this series, second one. The first one being Case Closed. That released that like, I think it was about a couple years ago, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, that's it for second review. My next review of the newest chapter of My Hero Academia. And no, it will not be a special because I have retired the specials because 80 is enough. Yes. So I don't want to reach like 100 specials and still wear the end review series to release like 50 chapters for the episode. So I'm going to review that and then Barto, and then I think after Barto, I think that probably be it for today. Okay. See you next video. Bye.